This is Bob Connors, Chair of the Newbury Conservation Commission. I call the September 3rd meeting to order. Permit me to confirm that all members are present and can hear me. When I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Mary.
Yes.
Mick. Mick Brown. Okay. Diane O'Brien.
Yeah.
And Bob Connors. Good evening. This open meeting of the Newbury Conservation Commission being conducted remotely consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of COVID-19. In order to mitigate the transmission of COVID-19, we have been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gathering. And as such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of open meeting law to have all meetings, here's Woody, to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order, which you can find posted with the agenda material for this meeting, allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. During public access does not ensure public participation unless such public participation is required by law. This meeting has public hearings and that we will allow public comments on agenda items tonight. While this meeting, the Newbury Conservation Commission is convening by Zoom, as posted on the agenda of the town section of the town's website, identifying how the public may join. Please note this meeting is being recorded and that attendees are participating by video conference. All right. Good evening, Woody. We just got into the preamble and we're gonna go to the agenda items. All right.
Okay, thanks, Rob.
Okay, thank you. Well, first order of business, I'd like to induce, that's been a long day. I've been hanging around with Mason too long. I'd like to introduce our new conservation agent, Mason Ferret.
Hello, everyone.
Mason and I were out doing site inspections today, and he'll be commenting on 27 Coleman Road. He had a chance to talk to the Rowley conservation agent, so he's got some information there that he can share. Upcoming meeting date, September 17th, October 1st, October 15th. Meeting minutes review, August 20th, 2024. Why don't we take a moment and review those and see if we have any questions, concerns, or corrections.
I just had one, Bob.
Yeah.
On 544th Street, was the shed going to be built under the pergola? It
No.
says within the footprint of the pergola. So the shed's not going to be under the pergola, right?
No, that's correct. The shed is going to be in the location of the existing shed. I think it's 144 square foot existing shed that's being reduced to 80. If I put that, I'll make that correction.
Yeah, it just
pergola
said
is
that the
standing
shed-
alone.
I
Yeah.
thought so.
Yeah, the only thing on the pergola was that there'd be no pavers or other change in the surface under the pergola.
Yeah, it just said this shed was going to be within the footprint of the pergola.
Okay. Yeah, that was on 442nd, 44th,
544th.
544. Okay. I'll entertain a motion to approve the meeting minutes for August 20th with the notation, the correction on the pergola and shed placement.
So move.
Is there a second?
Second?
Okay. All in favor?
DJ's not here today.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, all right, Mick, you're up. Okay.
Big shoes to fill, I don't know.
Roll call vote. All in favor? Mary,
Yes.
Woody,
Yes,
Mick,
I,
Diane,
Yes.
and Bob Connors votes yes. Okay, first order of business is an RDA for 27 Coleman Road, a replacement of existing patio in the 20 to 50-foot buffer and the 50 to 100-foot wetland buffer zones. Property is both in Newbury and Rowley, An NOI has been submitted to Rowley Conservation Commission. So Mason and I were able to have a site visit out there. We had a chat with the owner, and Paul Bergman is on the line to answer any questions. Mason, why don't you give us your, when we were out there, because of the overlapping jurisdictions, and that Rowley had issued or is requiring an NOI submission, Mason was going to reach out to his counterpart. I think his gentleman's name is Brent.
Correct.
So Mason, why don't you give us the result of your conversation with Brent?
Yeah, so I was able to reach out to Brent, and if I can pull it up, I'll show you guys the site map as well, just to put this into perspective. Most of the project that's happening is on the Rowley side. So on the Rowley side of this project, we have the wetland and then also the proposed walkway and patio. Everything on the Newbury side, from what I'm aware of, was already existing. And it's just expansion or slight upgrading to what was already there. I also talked with Brent, and he strongly recommended the 25-foot no cut zone around this wetland, because that's part of Rowley's bylaw. And I think that would be a smart move to protect this area from erosion and other runoff.
Okay. And Rowley was requiring erosion control within their NOI.
Correct.
Okay. All right, team. Paul, why don't you you get a quick overview of what we saw and what we discussed with the owner. Do you have anything you want to add, or you just want to answer questions as they're presented?
Bob, you and Mason pretty much covered everything. An existing patio was concrete for what it's worth, and it's being replaced with pavers, so there's some permeability of that. And the backstory and what actually happened in Rowley, for the information for the other members, if they don't already know, is that the owners, Gary and Dale McCausland, really nice people. They inadvertently dug a trench across what was found to be a wetland on the Rowley side. And then Brent Basilak from Rowley got involved. Mason's predecessor, I think his name was Sean, is that right?
Yeah, so what Sean Young was seated.
I remember meeting Sean like, oh boy, maybe 3 months ago or something. So long story short, Brent conferred with Sean and your commission, and it was agreed that an RDA for Newbury would be appropriate, and that's what we've submitted. And forgive me, you might hear our 2-year-old granddaughter in the background. I apologize in advance.
It's usually barking dog's fault in all our homes.
My wife is a babysitter for our granddaughter. And then, as you stated earlier, we did do a full notice for Rowley, and that was approved last week. We have to submit a slightly amended plan to Brent and the commission, but that's, as I said, you and Mason really described everything.
Okay. On the notice of intent, so it's been approved with some with a couple of minor amendments. Were those handled as special conditions, or how were they handled? Or do you have to go back in? Do you have another meeting to go?
We don't have to go back in,
Okay.
Bob. So I guess then that they were deemed as relatively minor to the commission. So I think issuing of the order is dependent upon us submitting the plan, the amended plan, to get approved. And to be honest, we've already sent the amended plan back over to Brent for his hopefully final review.
Okay. Why don't I stop you there, Paul, and let me open this up to questions from the members. Mick, any questions on this project for Paul?
Paul, if you just wouldn't mind like a summary on the Newbury side of the line here. correct me if I'm wrong, my understanding is the only work that you're doing within it looks to be within the 50-foot and just outside is that upper patio. That's a concrete patio. You're gonna demo that and replace it with pavers?
Correct, Mick. As a matter of fact, it's already demoed and there's crushed stone in its place that Bob and Mason probably, I don't want to speak for them, but they probably saw that today. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Mick, you see the outline of a retaining wall?
Yes,
the-
yep.
It's really more of a 2 foot high, call it a landscape feature. It's not really what I would call a retaining wall. So
Mhm.
why don't you just circle that, Mason, so that,
Yeah, I can see that.
and as Paul mentioned, there was no concrete present, and the wall is existing. And my understanding is they're infilling between the wall and the house with the paver.
Correct.
And according to the owner, part of this work too is being done to provide some more accessibility for an elderly parent and a handicapped child.
That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to make sure I had a clear picture on the work being done. So
Yep.
the landscape wall, the typical that it says that's existing.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, and it's just,
I would agree with Bob in that it is a landscape wall, Mick, as opposed to a retaining wall, like holding back soil. It's just to separate the patio area from
oh, okay.
south of it and the wet.
So
Yeah,
it's not
I
a,
think it's like on the order of like, I don't know, 2 feet high, Bob, something like that.
Yeah, it is. The grade is pretty equal on each side.
okay,
As you
Good.
go away from the wall back to the wetland, there's probably a 1 or 2% slope, I would say,
Yep.
within the buffer.
For what it's worth, Michael Seacamp, and I know Mary and Mike know each other. Michael flagged the wetlands for the project.
Mhm.
Mick, the video I sent you, hopefully you could you could pick
Yeah.
up a couple of the wetland flags that were there, and
Mhm.
it's probably 25 or 30 feet was kind of my ballpark of
Okay.
away from the.
No, I wanted to make sure I understood the project correctly. I appreciate that, Paul. Thank you. I
You
don't have
bet.
anything else right now, Bob.
Okay, thank you, Mick.
Thanks.
Mary, any questions for Paul on this submittal?
Just to confirm, was there any discussion that wetland could potentially be a vernal pool? Did that come up at all in Brent's review? Okay,
That never came up, Mary.
okay. It doesn't look like it from the aerial. And I would just concur with what Mason had said, that a erosion control barrier along the 25-foot no disturb zone line would be should be a special condition, and that it probably just extend maybe 20 feet along that angle, where it turns away from the work area. It doesn't have to go all the way to the Newbury line. It can just go 20 feet or so past that angle point.
Right. I have a question for the commission. Did Brent, I mean, I realize the NOI is in the town of Rowley, but did Brent send you a copy of the NOI plans that we submitted to that commission?
I haven't seen anything regarding the Raleigh submittal.
Okay,
Mason, did anything come in that you're aware of?
okay.
Nothing that I'm aware of.
I mean, I know there's legalities and Newbury takes care of Newbury, Raleigh takes care of Raleigh, but the Raleigh work, as I said a few minutes ago, and it was inadvertent. It definitely wasn't intentional. As you mentioned, the McCauslands are just trying to build a patio for they have a daughter that gets around the clock nursing care, and the wife's mother is elderly. She lives at the house, and they were literally trying to build a patio area on the southern end of the house, and their contractor dug a drainage trench going down towards Coleman Road. Yep, kind of yep, and unbeknownst to everybody, it was into BVW, and so that's why the notice of intent came about and so forth. So, and again, I understand it's Raleigh, but I'm just giving you some backstory. We've proposed fixing that trench that was dug on that side, and Mike C. Camp has submitted a regrowth list of various plants. I think a couple of black birch, if memory serves me right. So again, that's all on the Rowley side, but I'm just giving you, some of that information. And has been said, in Newbury, it's literally the paver patio.
Yeah, I think the interesting part is the existing, let's call it landscape wall, completely separates with the work area from the 25-foot buffer.
Right.
But I have some ideas, Mary, that I would recommend if we get that far on adding as just conditions
Okay.
to this.
Yep.
One would be a pre-construction meeting with the agent prior to start of work to,
Mhm.
verify the location. Adding a no disturb, no cut within the 25-foot buffer. And if there's a little bit of revegetation along the wall, I wouldn't have a problem with that as long as it's pretty much green grass in that area. It's not. it
And
isn't really
how's
noticeable.
equipment accessing?
No equipment because
Okay.
well, there's a walkway from the driveway to the patio, but it's in Rowley. And I don't see a need for them to have to be we're not going to allow any access to the buffer.
Okay.
It'll all
Alright.
be within the footprint of,
Okay.
I mean, at least that's my thought anyway, but. Okay, Mary, anything else? I can circle back if you'd like to.
Nope.
Okay, Woody, any questions on this matter?
No, I don't have any questions right now, Bob. Thank you.
Okay, Woody, thank you. Diane O'Brien, how about yourself? Any questions on this one?
No, I remember this from a while back and the video is great, so kind of shows exactly what's going on. Thank you.
Okay, and I don't have any questions. Are there any raised hands from the public at this point? Okay, do any members have a request for a site visit or additional information?
No?
Okay.
Do not, Bob. Thanks.
I'll entertain a motion to issue a negative finding. And actually, Mary, I'm thinking this is a -3 where it's within the buffer.
Mm-hmm.
And for 27 Coleman Road, and with the following special conditions: one, a pre-construction meeting with the agent prior to construction. Two, the installation of erosion control satisfactory to the agent. And limited revegetation along the wall if it's within the 25-foot buffer.
Can I make a modification that it be to
Yeah.
specified native vegetation?
Okay, it's green grass there now, pretty much, that runs up
Okay.
to it, Mary.
Oh, I
So-
see. Okay, just be
Yeah.
lawn. All right,
Yeah, it would just be the lawn.
got it. That sounds good.
Okay, so is there a motion?
So moved?
All right, do we have a second? Mick, nod your head if you're the second.
Second. They hit my mute button, Bob.
Okay, roll call, vote, all in favor, Mary,
Yes.
Woody,
Yes.
Mick.
Aye.
Diane,
Yes.
and Bob Connors votes yes. So Paul, we'll try to get this out to you this week. We have a new agent, he's all fired up, plenty of energy, we haven't burned him out yet, so. So I think if you check in by Thursday, we should have something for you.
Thank you. Mason, looking forward to meeting you, maybe out at the site someday if, for the pre-construction.
Sounds great.
Okay, thank you, Paul. Okay, next matter is an RDA.
Thank
for
you.
12
Thank
Grove.
you. Thank you, everyone.
Okay,
Thank
thank you, Gary. So next matter before the commission is 12 Grove Street. It's an RDA, minor expansion of a driveway, reconstruction of a portion of an existing driveway and construction of a portion of walkway and associated grading. Mason and I had a chance to take a site visit out to this. Daniel, I'm assuming you're presenting on this one, is that?
Yes, just quickly for the record, my name's Dan Powers. I'm an engineer with the Moore and Cameron Group in Danvers. Here tonight representing Michelle and Peter Abram regarding this matter.
Okay, so when we were out there, team, the video and pictures I had sent you, the existing driveway is bituminous concrete. I would classify it in poor condition, the plan. Daniel, why don't you put up the plan if you would share that with the committee, the commission. The plan showed the minor expansion towards the house.
Yeah, it should be up right now.
Okay, and the expansion of the walkway is highlighted in green. The walkway is currently crushed stone. So Daniel, my question, are they going to maintain the stone walkway or are they proposing?
So right now, we're proposing to obviously remove the portion of the walkway here. That's gonna be under where the proposed driveway will be. And there'll just be a little connection here to the existing walkway, which is outside of the buffer. We are proposing to connect the proposed driveway to a proposed covered entry with this walkway here, which is the expansion you were just talking about.
Okay.
That impervious.
Daniel, could you just point out the buffer lines on this and where
Yep.
you plan to put in your
So the 100
erosion
foot
control?
runs along here. You can see this gray hatch is what we're showing as the proposed reconstruction. So the area that is already driveway that we're going to resurface and regrade in some spots to be able to get into the garage. And then this green hatch right here is the new proposed driveway within the 100-foot buffer zone. There's a little bit down here as well. And then this orange is kind of driveway area that's just going to end up coming out, just a small little area. And then the green hatch here is that walkway within the 100-foot buffer zone.
Okay.
So it's a combination of the connection as well as the bordering vegetated wetland itself, which makes up this buffer zone.
Okay. The yard team was a fully developed green lawn, as I recall. There's a pond way over to there it is, way over to the right there. And why don't I stop there? And Daniel, answer questions as they presented, if you would, please. Mary, any questions for Daniel on this project?
It looks pretty straightforward. My only question is really, the wetland boundary has been taken from MassGIS. It doesn't seem like it's been surveyed on the ground. So we don't really know if that's accurate or not, or whether or not more of that house or any of the proposed addition is within the buffer zone. So,
If I could answer that very quickly.
yeah, that would be great.
Connections in the bordering vegetated wetland over here were taken from MassGIS.
Okay,
This wetland itself, one of our other engineers, Will Scuda, was out on the site with our surveyors. And he determined this boundary based off of a pretty clear break in slope coming off of the lawn down to the pond, as well as there was some historical wetland markings, some flagging.
okay,
So this was, a pretty defined break in the slope is essentially where that approximate limit came from. So that was not taken from MassGIS.
okay. Is Will Scuda a wetland scientist?
Not
He's a
scientist, just
surveyor? Okay. Yep. As long as Mason can take a look at this and confirm that he's comfortable that that's a reasonable wetland boundary, I'm good with it. And the only other comment is these cases like this where we have to consider whether or not our stormwater bylaw kicks in. And you're exempt under the state standards because it's a single family home, but there's a square footage, I think, in the stormwater bylaw that we're supposed to be implementing. So I wonder if you could just tell us what the total land disturbance is for this, if you know approximately.
I don't have the total number on hand right now.
Okay.
We're kind of in the middle of designing out septic system for it, so that's kind of changing day by day, but
Okay,
I have to get back to you on that.
yeah, and I don't have the details on the stormwater bylaw either. That's something that we're supposed to be updating, so I don't know where it stands right now, Bob.
Yeah, so Mary, I can give you a quick update on that. That came before the commission back in June. And we approved a new regulation, and the proposed regulation, to meet, I think it was, MS4 standards,
Mhm.
and state standards was if it was 1 acre of disturbed land or more, and there wasn't a limitation on whether that was residential,
Okay,
or
Yeah.
commercial,
so they went with it, okay.
right?
I wasn't sure if it was a half an acre or an acre.
Yeah, it
so-
was a 1 acre of give you disturbed, not so much adding impervious, but just
Any
disturbance.
disturbance, yep.
Any disturbance would trigger it, but only to the extent of the waters of the United States.
Well, yeah,
Okay, so which
we won't go down that road tonight.
yeah, which greatly limited the jurisdiction, which we're probably going to have to revisit for subdivision control and commercial properties. But Harry, anything else?
No, that's all, thanks. I think this is pretty standard RDA otherwise.
Okay, thank you, Mary. Mick, any questions on this RDA?
No, pretty straightforward, looks like, as Mary said.
Okay,
I'm
thank
all
you.
set.
Okay, thank you, Mick. Woody, any questions for Daniel on this one?
Just a clarification question. This is on Grove Street off of Central Street, Main Street, excuse me, in Byfield, correct?
Yes.
And it's the last house on Grove Street?
Well, there's two houses on a shared driveway, which we discovered. It looked like it was 12 and 14. There's another house.
Right.
Yeah, right over there. So what's before us, Woody, is 12. The house to the left is numbered 14. The placement of the mailboxes had us scratching our heads there for a bit when we were out there today, but Mason was able to ascertain where we were going.
Okay, thank you. And I don't have any other questions. Thank you, Bob. I just wanted to make sure I'm familiar with that area. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Woody. Diane O'Brien, any questions for Daniel on this project?
No,
Okay, and I don't have any questions.
I-
So
One
so
more
di-
thing.
Yeah, go
if I
ahead.
could. I'm
yep.
just looking up and it actually is in estimated habitat. But it looks like the work itself is proposed under this is exempt. But you should confirm that that is the case with septic system in the addition. Just make sure the work that's subject to this this RDA is exempt. It will fall under a minor exemption. I think the other part of it will as well, but just be aware that it's in estimated habitat.
Yeah, I mean, what's before us tonight is what I read, Mary, which is the
Yep.
minor expansion of the driveway
Yep.
and the walkway. There was no reference or request to look at the septic.
Yeah,
So-
that, we don't have to do that. I'm just saying any other further work you do on this property, regardless of whether it's under our jurisdiction, is under
right.
Mass Natural Heritage, and that boundary goes almost all the way out to to the cul-de-sac. So,
Okay.
So thank you.
Okay, Daniel, so just show us, where is your erosion control line again? I just so I'm familiar with it.
So kind of
Right
follow
The 100 foot.
follows the 100-foot buffer zone right here and then kind of runs down along the limit.
Gotcha. Okay, so it's that hatch line there. Okay.
And we're just proposing a silt sock for that.
Okay. I do not have any questions. So team, I think that if we entertain an RDA, we would add the usual pre-construction with the agent to ensure the placement of the filtration, hay bales or water, whatever they choose to put in, prior to construction. And revegetation of any disturbed areas along the driveway edge. So that brings up a question. What are they planning on using, Daniel, for equipment to do this work? Is it a Bobcat or what are they proposing to use for equipment?
I would imagine combination of a skid loader, obviously you're gonna have an excavator to dig out the addition, but it would likely just be smaller equipment where you need it for the grading and driveway.
Okay, I mean, just to be clear though, Daniel, the only thing we're giving you, we're considering tonight is the driveway and walkway. There was no other request. So I think Mary's point on the habitat with Mesa, you may have to look into that when you go further with Board of Health and with the building department.
Definitely.
Okay, Mick, any other questions? Why don't we go around one more time on this? Mick, anything else?
You brought up a good point, Bob, with the equipment and excavating. If it was asked previously, I apologize, but is there already, where are you gonna be storing spoils? I'm hoping outside the 100-foot buffer, or do you have room to do that if there's any debris, spoils? Or is
I
it
guess
gonna be
I-
hauled off immediately?
If it wasn't hauled off immediately, we have some room up in this area. You have some
Okay.
room. So there's plenty of space outside of the 100 buffer zone.
Cool.
And obviously, if we had a stockpile, we'd propose some kind of erosion control downstream of
Yep.
it migrating into the buffer.
So no construction spoils within the 100-foot buffer. I think we can add that too, Mick. It's a very
Yep.
good point.
Yep, that's all I have. That's good. Thank you.
Okay, Mary,
Dan.
anything else?
Not from
Okay, Diane, any other questions on this?
No.
Okay, are there any raised hands from the public at this time? We don't see any. If someone would like to comment on this, just give us your name and your address. Okay, hearing no further questions, I'll entertain a motion to issue a negative finding for 12 Grove Street.
Moved.
Okay.
Second.
do we have a second, Mick. Okay.
yes.
All right, so team, I would think that the conditions will be a pre-construction meeting with the conservation agent. No spoils within the 100-foot buffer. Anything else we want to add to this as a condition? That pretty much cover it?
Did you mention replanting of any disturbed
Yeah,
areas?
replanting of any disturbed vegetation, matching existing or allowed. All right, roll call, all in favor. Mary had to leave at 6:30, so I think Mary will not be voting on this. Woody,
Yes.
Mick. Mick, yes?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Mick. Diane?
Yes.
And Bob Connors will vote yes. Okay, so Daniel will try to get this RDA done and should be available for pickup or email by Thursday.
Sounds good. And thank you all for your time tonight.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next matter is enforcement order for 2 Old Point Road, DEP file number 0501344. At our last meeting, the respondent was to submit an NOI by September 3rd. We did receive, I'll read this. Chrissy had sent this over to me. Millennium dropped off an NOI states to remove existing landscape feature to permit one previously installed merchandise container and to complete the installation of previous approved plantings. This is all to close out the expired order 0501344. Then they will file a new notice of intent for pavilion work that was approved by the zoning board several months ago and at some point in the near future. So they have met the conditions that we had set. So that's just been submitted today. So we'll see if we get a file number on that and we get that advertised prior to our September 17th meeting. So no further action tonight is required on that. The other open enforcement order is 105 Northern Boulevard. unpermitted yard work. As we know, the applicant has provided a revegetation plan in its coordination of purchase and installation that is applicable to the installation of the dune grass, likely in the late October or early November, and doesn't require any further action on our part. Okay, next order of business is an extension request for existing DEP file number 0501366. This order expires on November 8th, 2024, beyond the 30-day requirement, and they're seeking it for an additional 3-year term. I went by the property today. Nothing has gone on over there. They're obviously going to remove a dwelling, but there's been no disturbance. Yeah, it's fully intact, fully vegetated. So, questions? Does anyone have any questions?
I'm good on this one, Bob.
Okay. Woody, any questions on this one?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Okay. Diane, any questions on this one?
No, this is by right, right?
Yeah, it is. It's a shall, it's not a may. So, and I have no questions. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to extend the order of conditions for file number 0501366 to 3 years.
So moved.
Okay, do we have a
And
second?
second.
Thank you, Mick.
Mhm.
Okay, roll call vote, all in favor. Woody,
Yes.
Mick,
Yes.
Diane,
Yes.
and Bob Connors votes yes. Okay, thank you, Daniel. No, we don't have Daniel. That's all right. Next matter is a certificate of compliance for DEP file number 0501331. It was issued on August 16th, 2022, and it's a partial COC. It has been issued, and as I recall, they were granted that for the building occupancy, and the commission at the time wanted to let one growing season go by to make sure that they stabilized site. I had sent out a video of the property. It's primarily fully vegetated. It's like a lot of properties on Plum Island where you get kind of a heavy sand gravel type of substrate, and you all get to see the video. So why don't I stop there and see if anyone has any questions? Mick, any questions on this one?
Nope.
Okay, thank you, Mick. Woody, any questions on this matter?
No, Bob, I don't have any questions, thank you.
Okay, Diane, any questions on this one?
No, I mean, it just looked like miscellaneous ground cover things. I don't know what it was they were supposed to plant, but looked
Yeah,
okay.
it looked like really in the back of the yard, that it was more revegetated, where a lot of the yard looked like it just wasn't disturbed. It looked like what you typically see in a
Yeah,
Plum Island lot that isn't near the coastal dune. And Mason, I didn't bother dragging Mason out to Plum Island today. I just wanted to work him slowly into off-island stuff. So I do not have any questions. Are there any raised hands from the public at this time? Okay. I will entertain a motion to issue a certificate of compliance for 20th Street.
so moved.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, roll call vote, all in favor. Woody,
Yes.
Mick,
Yes.
Diane,
Yes.
and Bob Connors votes yes. Okay. Next matter is a certificate of compliance for DEP file number 0501370. The original order was issued on 12/7/2021 for 7 Hutchinson's Road. It's a new dwelling. It has been built, and as-built was provided. I did a site inspection out there today. The as-built made some minor notices. The driveway at the beginning, looks like it was cleared. But again, it's more of a crushed stone gravel driveway. I sent you all the pictures that I saw. Apparently, they were putting the air conditioning condensers at the back of the house. They elected to put it on the roof, and in its place in the footprint, they added a second set of stairs up there, and that was also in the pictures. As I recall, the only other variance was there were 2 propane tanks proposed on the easterly side of the house, and they installed 3. Those are on level. It's a level yard, and they're on pre-concrete pads. And so why don't I stop there? Any questions from the members? Woody, any questions on this one?
No, I don't have any questions, Bob. Thank you.
Okay. Mick, any questions on this one?
No, no questions. And again, those videos are really helpful.
Well,
Those are great.
you know what, pictures are one thing, but the videos, I think, just give you the ability to kind
Yeah.
of encapsulate everything.
No,
Thank
keep those coming. Those are great.
Thank you, Mick. Well, we're gonna get Grasshopper on the video. We're gonna get him. He's gonna be like a cub reporter out there.
I'm on it.
Awesome.
Thanks, Mick. Diane, any questions on this matter?
The new stairs, they're the ones, they look like they're metal or something. They're raised off the ground.
They were off the back.
Yeah.
So that if you're
They're
facing the
up
house,
off the,
you know what? I'd have to look at the pictures, to be honest.
yeah, it looks like it's level with the house and just goes down like 4 steps. That looks fine. It didn't look like it
Yeah, but
required any
you know what?
dredging or anything.
I have my. Yeah, I think they had the first step might have been a concrete step. Let me just look at this again. Yes, that's exactly right, Diane. They just go down to grade, basically.
Yeah,
They-
okay.
2 sonotube footings, it looks like, which,
No question.
okay. All right, I will entertain a motion to issue a certificate of compliance for 7 Hutchinson Road. No,
So moved.
all right, do we have a second on that motion?
Second?
Okay, thank you, Mick. Roll call vote, all in favor, Woody,
Yes.
Mick,
Yes.
Diane,
Yes.
and Bob Connors votes yes. Okay, the next matter is a notice of intent. This is, excuse me, there was an old order of conditions that has expired. I don't have the date when that expired, but the old order was 0501336. This is down at the Rotary team next to, it's the only site that's under construction. It's to the right. If you're at the Rotary, I guess you would call it south of where the Domino's Pizza and the Subway shop is, right on the Rotary. A lot of work has gone in there over the last several months. Looks like soil conditions required geopiers, and there's been some concrete work done. The project is on hold currently, and we do not have a file number, and there's work within the 100-foot buffer. So Millennium, I see Millennium is here. So why don't we do this? Why don't we open this up? Well, actually, where we don't have a file number, we usually consider this an incomplete file at this point because we don't have any technical comments. And team, in the past, what we typically do when we have an expired order and the work hasn't been complete, we've required the filing of a notice of intent, which has been done. But we have also issued a enforcement order simply stating that no work is to continue on site until the expired order is replaced with a new order of conditions. So my recommendation tonight is that we consider issuing an enforcement order simply stating that we've received the notice of intent, but no further work on site is to take place until an order of conditions has been approved and expired through the appeal period. So does that sound like a plan? Is there a motion to issue an enforcement order regarding no work to take place pending the approval of a replacement order of conditions?
So moved.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second,
Okay, roll call, all in favor? Woody,
Yes.
Nick,
yes,
Diane,
Yes.
okay, and Bob Connors. TJ from Millennium, you get your hands up. I think we've added clarity to what we typically do, and Diane, I see you have your hands up.
I just had a question, it could be a process question, but if the old order of conditions is out there and it's expired, are they submitting basically the same project that was already approved, or is this different than the prior one?
That is a good question. They're going to have to, one, as we have with Sunset, address the open order of conditions, the expired order of conditions will have to be closed out. That would have to be incorporated into the new filing.
Okay,
And so they're ultimately gonna have two outstanding order of conditions. One's expired, but on their chain of title that they're going to want to close out. And honestly, the only way they can close that out is by meeting all the requirements of the expired order of conditions. And if there are other items that they're expanding onto that order. So,
okay, thank you.
okay. All right, next order of business. General discussion, 34 Central Street. So under Mass General Law, Chapter 61A, basically that's the chapter that covers farmland, where that land has been put into farmland for, and it's certainly for tax, for real estate tax. But when they intend to sell it, they have to notify the town, they have to present the offer, purchase and sale to the select board, and the town at that time has the option of purchasing the property. There's probably some recapture too of taxes, of back taxes. I'm not quite sure how that works. The big thing there is in checking with the town administrator, the town doesn't have any critical needs or capital needs that would create an interest for this property. So it comes before us, we don't really have to do anything other than, review the documents from the seller. And it's solely a select board decision. So I got that. I spoke to Tracy Blaze, at town administrator, and her opinion was that there was no interest in purchasing this property. So why don't I open it up to questions? Woody, any questions on this one? Woody, being in the egg business, you would know more about 61A. Is it you filed for that? Is it an exemption you filed for that reduces the taxes, or what? It's a teaching moment, Woody, for us.
Yes, it's if it's being currently used as farmland, and usually it's over a parcel that's 5 acres of continuous land that they consider to
Okay.
make 61A tax exempt. And also, I will note, because this came before the planning board, that property there, 34 Central, was also on one of our properties that got approved at town meeting for MBTA zoning.
Okay.
For that, and the planning board recommended that to the select board that this property, because we took the time and had it zoned and was approved at town meeting, was to be our suggestion to the select board was at will. Basically, it's up to them as far as whether they want to purchase it or pass it off. And being that we set it aside for MBTA, that's what our recommendation was that it stays as MBTA zoned area. I
Okay,
think it was, parcel B for the Byfield area.
okay, thank you, Woody. Mick, any questions or comments on this one?
No, Bob, no comments right now.
Okay, Diane, any questions on this one?
Nope, the town does not want to spend $1 million, I guess.
Yeah, you know what, I didn't realize that it was, within that MBTA district. So,
I don't know what that means exactly, but.
well, that was the density zoning where it was approved that you had, it was by the state that we had to create these districts. And that the minimum density was 15 units per acre. But it had to be strategically located within so many, I don't know if it was a half mile of the rail or the rail station. There was some parameters set. Again, Woody's our resident zoning expert here, so.
No, so that
We-
just means whoever builds has to build a certain amount of density.
Well, we provide the opportunity, they still have to go, they will probably be coming back before planning
Yeah.
and conservation. And Woody,
The-
did you guys create a zoning bylaw on setback and stuff like that? Or is that something that's in process or?
Yes, it was all part of the process.
Okay, that was all part of the approval at town meeting.
Yeah, all part of the approval at town meeting with, parcel A and parcel B in Old Town, which is, A is along the Route 1 corridor by the, Hanover Street intersection, and then parcel B was next to the elementary school. There's a big parcel there, with a house on it currently. They don't have to, the owners of the property don't have to do the 15 units per acre density and go with the MBTA zoning, but it is an option now. It's like an overlay on their property. And then the A and B in Byfield was Kent Way, where Town Hall is, was A, and then B was this parcel that we're talking about, 34 Central Street.
Okay, thank you, Woody.
Okay, so this doesn't require any action. This is more an FYI. And it's ultimately the select board's decision determination what to do, if anything. So, all right, I wanted to add one other item. We received a zoning update from town council regarding the additional dwelling units statute that the state passed. So basically, in a nutshell, any single family zone, again, this is I think I put it in the Dropbox, what she had written, and it had the corresponding statute that was approved. So by right, anyone that owns a single family home, anyone that owns a single residential 1 zoning lot has by right the ability to build one additional dwelling unit, whether it's attached or detached. And I think it was limited to 900 square feet. And so I raised the question from town council on how does that impact our Plum Island overlay district and Barrier Island regs on that? Just because I can just imagine it creates an interesting opportunity for some of our more ambitious property owners or developers that hopefully what it does is it gives people a chance to convert some of their in-law apartments that were required to have a member, a relative living within it. Those could certainly be converted immediately. There's a 6-month stay on this, as I recall too, that it was passed, but it's not going to go into effect to either January 1 or it was 6 months from the day it was approved by the legislature. And that was to give local towns to review zoning and, adopt zoning. How is it going to be on setbacks? I think the requirement was on an ADU, they only had to include 1 additional parking unit. But it's by right, not by special permit. And team, that's about it. Any questions? Mick, are you up to you well versed yet on these ADUs? It's pretty fresh. You guys haven't.
I wouldn't call myself well versed on it yet,
Yeah.
but I'm getting there. So,
Did I do a decent job of
Yes.
highlighting? Okay.
yeah, that was good.
Okay. And again, Lisa Mead's letter memo is in the Dropbox, so if you have a want to review it, you certainly can. And that's all I have. So Sean, welcome. How'd your first day go? I want you to know the meeting got open on time, and I look forward to working with Mason.
Looking forward to it.
Welcome, Mason.
Thank you very much,
Thank you,
guys.
Mason.
Very, yeah, very happy to have you here.
Yes.
Yes, look
Mason
forward,
is a-
look forward to meeting you.
Janice, I see Janice Forrest. Janice, you're on mute if you have some comment you'd like to make. You're still on mute, Janice.
Now
Dave.
I'm unmuted. Okay.
Ah, you're
First
on
of all, I also would like to welcome our new agent. It's good to have you here. I'll be seeing you every week, lucky you.
mute.
I come into town hall every week for the historical commission now to check on things. And I've got a question that you don't have to answer tonight, but I'm sure it's gonna come up. The
Okay.
building, the old boathouse that's like next to Bob's Lobster.
Yes,
I remember when I was trying to build my house from my cottage on the island. I remember the gentleman who owns it was trying to do all build up, and there were a lot of conservation things, and it ended up, I believe, going to the state. And now I hear through the grapevine that something's gonna be, then it's gonna be taken down, a house is gonna be built. Did we
Yeah.
finish all that stuff, or is that just a hopeful thing going through?
so I remember this, that he originally went to, I think, conservation, and then it had to go to town. He brought something before a town meeting. And the first time he brought it, he withdrew it, and then he was filing directly with DEP on that because it's in the Great Marsh, Salt Marsh, which typically doesn't allow any type of development beyond existing. And as I recall, he wanted to move the existing structure, demolish that, but then move it back 100 or more feet onto the property with a elevated access, I guess you'd call it. So that's all I recall, Janice, and that's just kind of my best recollection. I'm not aware of any intent at this point to do anything else. And I think Jack Van Loan is the owner of the property. Yeah, but
Okay,
I know that the property has drawn a lot of concern about its current appearance, where it's pretty dilapidated, open to the weather, and
yeah, you see it as much as I do, I'm sure.
yeah, no, I think the word public nuisance has been mentioned by more than a handful of people that have asked me off the record about it, but so not aware of anything, Janice, that's pending. And certainly when the time comes, it would come in, and again, unless they've, as I recall, because there's Phragmites on the property, and Phragmites were determined back then that do not grow in the salt marsh. It had to be a freshwater prism to support it. I think Mr. Van Loan's argument was it couldn't be classified as salt marsh. Ultimately, I recall DEP actually changed their regs and just eliminated Phragmites as a freshwater or whatever, and that's kind of where it was. And Mary Rimmer is just coming back in. Mary, you missed all the fun.
All done? Did I miss it?
Yeah, no, you know what? We have Janice Forrest was asking a question about the old boathouse down by Bob Lobster. It was the Jack Van Loan property that's
Oh,
right
yes.
on the edge.
I know it well, yeah.
Yeah, and we were just kind of, I was remembering what went on at town meeting. Mr. Van Loan had come into town meeting to do something and then he withdrew it. And then he was dealing with the state on whether his property being classified as salt marsh, where it had a Phragmites stand on it, was. So Janice heard rumors that there may be something going in there, but as I mentioned to her, we don't have anything on our radar screen at this point. Okay.
Time will tell.
I
Thank you.
think that there was a chapter 91 issue. on that.
Yes, yeah, as well, yeah.
Yep.
Okay, well, Mary, you get to make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Oh,
if you-
All right then, everyone,
Okay,
hey,
So-
make a motion to adjourn. Good night. Enjoy your dinners.
okay, do we have a
Thank
second?
you. Second,
Okay, roll call, all in favor, Mary, Woody, Nick,
Yes.
Diane, and Bob.
yes.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, yes.
7:01 team,
Woo-hoo.
Be good.
good meeting.
All right.
Thank you, everybody.